Moonrollers is a push-your-luck dice rolling game for 2 to 5 players, set in the Moonrakers universe. The player with the most prestige at the end of the game wins. To gain prestige, you'll help various Moonrakers crew complete contracts. If you successfully complete a contract, you'll gain that crew's unique ability for the rest of the game. But it wouldn't be a contract without a little risk. Certain aspects of each contract give hazard tokens, which are worth additional prestige at the end of the game. But be careful. The player with the most hazard at the end of the game does not receive their bonus hazard prestige. The game ends when one player either hires a crew from each faction or 3 crew from one single faction. To set up, have each player grab their player aid, starting crew card, and player tokens in their color. Then, place one of your cubes on the 0 space of the prestige track. Next, mix the hazard tokens and place them face down in a pile. Shuffle the crew cards to form a draw deck and reveal 4 cards for 2 players, 5 cards for 3 players, or 6 cards for 4 and 5 players. Starting with the player who last won a game of Moonrakers, begin taking turns in clockwise order. On your turn, first, roll 5 dice. Next, choose 1 crew card to work on this turn. You may only work on 1 crew each turn. Then, commit at least 1 of your dice to a matching requirement on the card. Note that the white symbols are wild and may be used on any requirement. To commit dice, move any matching dice you are committing next to the crew card, and place 1 of your player markers above that requirement on the card. These dice are now locked and cannot be re-rolled this turn. If you have locked enough dice to fully complete the requirement, slide your player marker down to cover the requirement. If the requirement has a hazard icon above it, draw 2 hazard tokens and keep 1, returning the other face down back to the pile. Your hazards remain hidden from other players until the end of the game. Now, you must choose to either continue rolling your remaining dice or stop. Repeat this until you choose to stop or you bust. Before continuing to roll, count the number of purple extra die symbols you rolled previously. For each of these, add 1 die from the supply of unrolled dice to your rolling pool. If there are no more dice to grab, the extra die symbols have no effect. If you choose to roll again and you have already committed to a requirement type, you must lock in at least 1 die of that requirement. If you've just finished a requirement on your last roll, you must lock in at least 1 die on a different empty requirement on the same card. If you roll your dice and cannot commit any of the dice, you bust. When you bust, your turn ends, and you must remove any of the player markers you placed this turn. You may choose to end your turn voluntarily instead of rolling in order to avoid busting. If you are currently committed to an unfinished requirement, take that player marker off the crew card. You do, however, get to keep any player markers on completed requirements. If you complete the last requirement on a crew card, your turn immediately ends. All players then score prestige for the requirements they completed on the card. Wild requirements are worth double their amount in prestige, as denoted by the 2x. The player who completed the final requirement gains the crew card, placing it in front of them. You may now use this ability on the crew card on future turns. If it is the first card of that faction you have gained, place it next to your other cards. Otherwise, you must place it either on top of or under your card of the same faction. Players may only use the top card's ability. Also, when gaining a card of a duplicate faction, you may return 1 of your hazard tokens, mixing it back into the pile face down. After a crew card has been completed, draw a new one to replace it before the next player's turn. The game ends immediately when a player has hired 1 crew of each faction, or 3 crew from the same faction. Players now reveal their hazard tokens. All players except for those with the most hazard symbols across their hazard tokens add the prestige on their hazard tokens to their existing prestige. In a 2-player game, you do not score your hazard prestige if you have 3 or more hazard symbols more than your opponent. The player with the most prestige wins. In the case of a tie, the player with the least hazard symbols wins. I'm going to run through an example turn of Moonrollers. So first up, all I got to do, roll 5 dice. Ooh, great roll. Okay, so I'm going to start working on carry pole walk. I'm going to put this shield, lock it in, and I will put a cube above the requirement slot. I also rolled 2 purple dice, which gives me 2 more die for my next roll. I could have locked in this other shield to put 2 down, but I want to keep my die and see what I roll. Here we go, rolling all these dice. Oof, another great roll. So I am gonna take 2 shields this time. I'm gonna lock them in up here. So I have completed this requirement. There was a hazard icon above it, so I'm gonna grab 2 hazard. I'm gonna look at them, put 1 back. I got a purple dice again, so I'm gonna add 1 more die, keep on rolling. So I could stop here, that might be fine, but I think I can get 3 reactors and finish this contract. Let's see where we land. Oh, love it. Okay, so I got 2 of the 3 and I got 2 more dice. All I need is 1 more reactor. So I'm gonna put this above here, signifying that I am starting this row of requirements. Just need 1 more reactor and we got this. And I did it. All right, so I got the reactor I needed. I have now completed this contract. So now we need to score points. I got to 3 spots, so I'm gonna get 6 points for me. And Green, who worked on this previously, will get 4 and 1, giving them 5 points. We'll take these off. And now I grab Carrie, put him in front of me. I get to use this ability for the rest of the game. Let's fill in the slot here. And yeah, that's Turn of Moonrollers. And that's it. We hope you've enjoyed learning how to play Moonrollers. If you have any questions, hit us up here in the comments or on our Discord channel. Thanks for watching.